Happy Friday, everyone. Sam Shapiro back here with more of your Heat latest on FanArc. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more daily content around the Miami Heat. Nikola Jovic has been grinding his butt off this offseason, and that's what he's been saying on Twitter, saying, quote, "I've been training since May 5th. I've only taken a 7-day break. I'm already tired, but I'm already ready for the season to get underway." And now it's looking like he is going to be declared for the Serbian team as they go for the gold in the Eurobasket tournament. Jovic didn't necessarily have the most jaw-dropping season for the 305 last year, only averaging about 10.7 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, 2.8 assists on 45.5% shooting roughly. And I just think wanting to see him get better, especially in South Beach, is a very reassuring thing, following in the footsteps of other foreign players like Goran Dragic that have come and left their mark on this franchise. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do overseas, how he's going to be using the last 3 months to really try to come into his own more of a stronger player for this franchise this season. Only time will tell to see how much the development really helped him going forward. But, he says he's been working really hard. He posted that on social media. Necessarily didn't have the best bout last year in Paris with the Serbian team, but it's interesting to see the 22-year-old player want to come out and develop his game, especially not maybe in Las Vegas like some of the other Miami Heat players had this past summer, kind of trying to take his own route and voicing that very clearly that he's been working his butt off. So I'm hoping to see that it shows in his game, at least in the preseason, and that he is able to stay healthy during this Eurobasket tournament. There is some risk with that in the event that he does get injured, but I'm hopeful that, he's a young guy. He's been working on his game. He's been working on strength and conditioning in addition to his fundamentals over this offseason. I highly doubt that wouldn't be the case. So it's nice to see a guy like Jovic voicing the hard work that he had kind of been putting in over the past 3 months when most guys would probably be in Cancun sipping some coconut water under a palm tree, especially, maybe being in a climate like Florida. But he probably wanted to not do that and at least stay in America, and probably wanted to travel around a little bit as well. So again, just very exciting and reassuring to see him voicing that he's ready for the season right now, and we're kind of headed towards the end of July. So only time will tell. And in terms of time telling anything, I know I had mentioned previously this week that I thought Miami would be a 6th seed going into the playoffs if it were to start today. Well, a lot of other media personalities seems to agree with me on that. Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe saying earlier this week rather, that they were saying that Miami could be anywhere between winning 45. They could see Miami winning anywhere between 45 and 48 games this season, mainly because of the lack of star power that's probably going to be prevalent in the Eastern Conference this year. Tyrese Halliburton, suffering an Achilles tear in Game 7, and then Jason Tatum also rehabbing from the same injury. Damian Lillard now going back to Portland. It's definitely going to limit the amount of star power Miami has to compete with in conference, and they were saying because of that, Miami could win up to at least 48 games based on what their roster also looks like right now. Lowe saying, quote, "If you told me the Miami Heat went 45 and 37 and got the 6th seed, I wouldn't be surprised. I think they're a better team than Vegas thinks right now." And Bill also saying, "I actually think like 48 wins could be in play with, like I had just mentioned, because the East is going to be because of where the East is going to be from a star power standpoint." So especially with Philly, what the injury situation is going to look like there between if Paul George can kind of stay healthy, or if Embiid is going to consistently be able to take the floor at all this season. So I just think a lot of those definitely factor into that. I know I had mentioned in my predictions earlier this week, I don't even think I had Philly in my top 6 for teams that would probably be better than Miami. So I thought it was interesting that they had mentioned them as well. But I mean, if you have all those guys healthy, they definitely could pose some sort of a threat. But that's also a big what if they can stay healthy. And those guys, as we've seen in previous seasons, have struggled in that front time and time again. So I thought it was very interesting to see a lot of media guys, based on the lack of star power, them believing that, but also kind of believing in the roster that Miami's been able to put together over this offseason. making some of the acquisitions they had made in Davian Mitchell and, letting guys like Duncan Robinson go. Definitely. And then Norman Powell, obviously, the big bring in for, kind of only getting rid of Kyle Anderson and Kevin Love. You've got a nearly 20-point per game scorer and Powell now coming into the system. Question of whether or not he's going to start. There's a decent chance he might not, but when you have a 20-point per game scorer, you're definitely going to be plugging and playing at least in those first couple games, or at least in the practices leading up to the regular season. So I wouldn't say anything set in stone just yet in terms of who might be getting the starting nod and who might not be. But it was very intriguing to see, Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe agreeing with me and the take I had earlier this week that Miami could definitely be a 6 seed heading into this postseason if things right now kind of shape up to how they're going to look in, maybe 6-7 months down the line. So drop in the comments what you think. Do you think Miami is going to land the 6th seed? Do you think they're going to be a higher seeded playoff team this postseason? I saw a lot of you also mentioning in the comments Miami having a very productive free agency this past summer. And, I really kind of thought about it. And at first I was kind of frustrated that, they didn't really make any major moves. They didn't want to capitalize on, going after a star like Kevin Durant. But, sometimes less is more. And a lot of the arguments and takes I've been hearing, not just from you guys in the comments, but from Simmons and Lowe, at least in this regard, definitely made me kind of think about it. And, I'm kind of seeing it a little bit, or I'm at least seeing it more now than I did before in terms of it could definitely pose Miami to be a sneaky team in the Eastern Conference. And, again, doing less is more could be beneficial for this team, especially as things start to develop. Now, moving into what I think this team should, outside noise, at least this team should definitely block out right now, is some rumors I've been seeing online about Bam Adebayo potentially going to the Los Angeles Lakers because he was seen sitting next to Pau Gasol at the WNBA All-Star game, and then saying that there were pictures online of him wearing purple and gold shorts and him being linked to trade rumors, that means that he's going to be in major trade talks to seriously go to the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, NBA Twitter is a very interesting place, or X is it's now called. It's a very interesting atmosphere, but I just think this is an absolutely horrible take. I mean, Pau Gasol has shown time and time again that he's a longtime supporter of the WNBA, just because, his former teammate Kobe Bryant having that award named after him and Gigi, and, him just being a supporter of the game, him being there, in addition to Bam Adebayo's girlfriend, A'ja Wilson, arguably being the face of the WNBA right now. I mean, those could also be a reason why they were sitting next to each other at the All-Star game this past Saturday, and not because Pau Gasol is trying to recruit Bam Adebayo to go to the Lakers. I mean, that is just, as Stephen A would say, a blasphemous take, I personally think. And I just think it's ridiculous that people were even considering that as a serious move, at least that's going to happen in the next season, just because of what Bam has been able to do for this franchise. I saw an article regarding the Indiana Times kind of emphasizing on these on Twitter, and people posting these pictures online and people commenting on this as well. And I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, is there any other evidence that maybe I'm missing or I didn't look into that would suggest that Bam seriously leaving Miami to go to a team like the Lakers would be plausible? I mean, LA did just pick up DeAndre Ayton, so it's not like they're in a diehard market for a center anymore. Obviously, adding a guy like Adebayo along with Luka and LeBron would look great for that team, don't get me wrong. And, with rumors of maybe Trae Young also leaving Atlanta and then deciding if he wanted to go to LA, could also bring I mean, come on. That's just so dragged out in my opinion. I just think this article really dragging the rumor mill a little bit in that regard. And I just think that's, again, a blasphemous take to say that Bam would literally leave Miami, at least in the next season or two, to go to a team like the Lakers. I mean, I'm sorry. He's a cornerstone player for this franchise, and there's no way, if he was ever going to leave Miami, that they wouldn't be giving up a whole bargain for arguably one of the best two-way centers in the league right now. So I'm not even going to ask what you think in the comments, because I just think this is an absolutely ridiculous take personally. If I'm wrong, challenge me on it, of course, but I saw this article today and I was like, are you serious? This is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry. There's no way, personally, I think that Bam Adebayo would go to the Los Angeles Lakers, at least at this point. But one thing that I did see, at least on the coaching front, there were rumors of Sergio Scagliolo potentially joining the Miami Heat coaching staff. I'm sorry if I botched his last name there, but the former assistant coach who won with the Toronto Raptors, he was there from 2018 to 2021, 3 seasons. I mean, whenever you see on the rumor mill that a winning type coach like that could potentially join, a winning culture like Miami, being able to work the ins and outs of the team under a guy like Coach Spo, I just think it looks promising, at least on the surface. But drop in the comments what you think if adding a guy like Scarliolo would be a good pickup for Miami. I definitely think that if you're bringing a guy that's been part of a championship culture at some point, at least in his stint in the NBA, also coaching the national Spain team. But yeah, it seemed like something good on the surface. But sources from the Miami Herald did confirm Miami is not interested in looking at him right now. So I don't think if it's ever going to happen, it's definitely not going to be this season or probably the next season. Miami pretty much declining that they were looking at adding him into the coaching staff or working as an assistant under Coach Spoelstra at this time. But I definitely thought it was an interesting thing to think about, bringing a guy like that who's got international coaching experience to a team who's really looked elsewhere in terms of where to bring in talent, bringing in guys like Yaku Chones and wanting to develop guys like Jovic and just international talent from all different necks of the world. And even Fontecchio, just like a lot of those guys, Miami really, I feel like, has been looking at the international scope of where they could bring players in from. And who's to say they couldn't do that elsewhere, especially with, where they're looking in the coaching front. So drop in the comments if you think that would be a good, if Sergio would be a good add to the Miami Heat's coaching front. I definitely think on the surface it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but Miami would know what their coaching needs are probably a little bit more than what I would, just because I'm coming more from a fan standpoint. But anytime you've got winning coaching at your disposal, I definitely think it's something worth looking into. But only time will tell, and we'll have to see exactly if those denials change to possible maybes or maybe even a yes somewhere down the line. That's going to do it for me. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and be sure to leave all your opinions and comments on some of my takes here in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for all of our latest content pertaining to the Miami Heat. Thanks so much, and take care.